I told you I wasn't looking forward to the next review. Mars Converters Solar Spark. Today on Guerrilla Reviews. God help me. Yes, Solar Spark, the companion piece to Bust Runner, basically shares about 90% of the robot mode. They do have a different shell for the car, a different head, but otherwise it's pretty much the same thing. And yes, the head, one of the arms is already popping off inside the box. Lovely. I'd probably be a lot more sad about this if I didn't pay more than $5 for it. So if you can get this, both of these extremely cheap, it'd be interesting. But that's about it. Okay, let's get this bad boy out of the box so we can begin this nightmare. Okay. I know that some people probably have these kinds of complaints about expensive third-party figures, but still, they managed to get the tank relatively well and the dinos effective enough. To see them go back to this kind of nonsense is a little bit unfortunate. Okay, and again, have to fold down the feet, pull them out to get them to stand at all. Okay. 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 Joints seem relatively tighter than Bust Runner, so there's something, but otherwise, yes, it's pretty much the same figure. Don't believe me? Same, same, same. Just a different shell and a different head, and they meant it. This time they simply put the, guess that's a blade there on the other hand. So whoopity-doo on that. Now, as a Transformers collector myself, I am somewhat used to having a same body, just with a different head, maybe some different coloration, that sort of thing. But when it's on engineering that is as flawed as this, already we're getting into a very unpleasant area. But out of hand, it does appear as though Solar Spark's joints are indeed a lot tighter. Even the waist joint's a little bit tighter there, but otherwise it's pretty much the same. Okay, so that's something. So at least that gimmick works just as fine. And let's see if we can get it closer on both the head. Okay, again, let's go back and see if we can get closer on the head sculpts here. Yeah. So, let's see. Yeah, there is some good differences there between the heads, but otherwise, nothing really spectacular there. Basically the same featureless space helmet, so that's what you're dealing with on that end. Otherwise, pretty much exactly the same articulation. Nothing on the head. Hinge joint that goes outward. The hinge and a ball joint at the shoulder. Bicep rotation. Hinge joint for the elbow. Hindered wrist rotation on a mushroom peg. That same waist swivel. Ball joint for the hips. So now a hinge joint for the knee. Lower leg swivel and forward tilting foot. Again, I have no problem with repaints, especially if they manage to fix a problem with an earlier figure. But these were released at the same time, so it's hard to say if they actually took any consideration towards any of them. But there we go. And we'll go run through the transformation real quick. Same as Bust Runner. Fold up this part. Fold in the head. Twist this. Actually, no, looks like you leave that there. Have to do some sort of voodoo to get that part in there. Okay, there we go. Okay, this is still, again, because of the tighter joints on this particular version, it's not as big a nightmare as it was with the Bust Runner, but it's still a little bit fiddly. Now fold up that, go down, bring it around, repeat, and try to peg it all together. Fold in if you can. Does this even? How do you even? Okay, there we go. Come on. How did that even? Okay. So, somehow went like that. Okay. Okay, so somehow you gotta basically force this. Oh, okay, there's an additional joint there. That's why. Okay, I probably should have figured that out, but anyway, moving on. So everything's connected as best we can here. Okay, there we go. Solar Spark car mode. Okay, I figured out part of the reason why they was on the front don't rotate properly, because this little hinge joint, the same one that the arms pop off on right there, prevent the wheels from spinning in car mode. Genius. Okay, if you do fold it out a little bit more, jeez. Okay, let's see if we can try and get this to work. Works on one, not so much the other. Wonderful. Okay, there we go. Okay, a little bit of fiddling, you can even get that to work. I mean, okay, does that? Okay, yes it does. So, actually have to disassemble the figure to get it to do that, but you can indeed. Okay. Alright. So with a little bit of work you can get the wheels to roll properly. Still doesn't peg in together, but you can at least get there. If that's of any consolation. So you can at least have these in a decent car mode and get them to run. But chances are, if you're using this for the car mode, you're using this because that's all you're using it for. Or for some interesting kit bash. Yeah, sorry if I'm being spacing out here, it's just, you'd think for as long as they've been around they would at least figure that out, but hard to say really. Yeesh. Okay, comparing the car modes together, this looks, well, it's a bit like a supercar, a unlicensed version of something, otherwise they'd probably get sued. This just looks like something out of, well, a video game, or some concept car, which I imagine probably, well, gotta be lifted from something, I imagine. This, actually when I look at it, this looks a little bit more, you'd think that this would look better for me, but actually, if they put the Bust Runner colors on Solar Spark here, you probably have something a lot more impressive. But that just may be me. In fact, that'd probably be a kit bash product to make Solar Spark in Bust Runner colors. But that may just be wishful thinking on my part. And again, yeah, they did some gussing up with Photoshop to make these parts glow when they clearly don't. Okay, final verdict time. And it's kind of hard to say, but I'd have to, surprisingly, the one that I thought would be inept is actually the one that is Solar Spark here. There's actually holding together fairly well. There is going to be some significant differences in the manufacturing, unfortunately, so it's hard to recommend either of them based on what I've experienced, but there might be models where Bust Runner is actually holding together fairly competently, whereas Solar Spark isn't. But in this case, it is the other way around. Seems as though the farm farming part of the game was a bit of a fluke. But as it stands on my experience, Solar Spark is the one to go for, because it seems as though they've worked out the bugs. Even though they are both effectively the same figure. Let's see here now. Oh, here we go. Now, because of that, can't get that out. Okay. So yeah, based on what you've seen here, if you see either of them and you can get them fairly cheaply, I'd recommend going with Solar Spark over Bust Runner. But again, that may just be my experience. This one, no, it wants to hold together the chest, but it just doesn't. Okay, anyway, I am the Deceptiwolf. This has been Mars Converter's Solar Spark. Can I remind you all, free your mind, free your toys.